Welcome everybody to your InTEAmacy Tantra Afterglow. Woohoo! David is in silence, deepening into the Afterglow experience. How was last night for you?
Nourishing.
Tell me more about that.
Felt nice to be around. I don't know what word to describe them. It was nice to be around the people who were here. I enjoyed what was shared. There was laughter. There was vulnerability, truth, playfulness, safety, knowledge, wisdom, love, connection, intimacy.
Yeah, I would say yes to all of those things. The thing that I appreciate about these events in general, but especially last night, is just how multidimensional they are because of the different subcultures that we all inhibit, the experience that we've had. You know, last night was more feminine bodied than male bodied, and there was a sweetness to it. And like, I love when we host certain events and there's just like this immediate drop in, like everybody's chilling, everybody feels comfortable, you know, people that know each other are cuddled up. I know I told you at the beginning, you're like, what would make this event feel playful for you? And I was like, people laughing and people cuddling, and I received all of that and more.
Tell me more.
I love when people return to the events because there's just like, there's excitement and curiosity there, and there's a continuation of depth in that experience, which I appreciate. And so there's like an immediate sense of closeness that maybe I don't necessarily feel with like new people, though I am open. And so it's always nice to have a mix of that familiar with the unfamiliar, and the excitement and maybe even sometimes like tension that can bring, because you're like, you just don't know.
Familiar and unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Knowing and not knowing.
I loved last night's topics because we're talking about Tantra, and we're talking about classical Tantra, which is, you know, this sense of wholeness. And you said it really well last night. What did you say?
Gosh. What did I say?
Oh, what did you say? I'll have to look through the notes. But classical Tantra, philosophical Tantra being that wholeness, was it found in everything? I forget. You said it so.
Okay.
You said it so poetically.
Yeah, let me pull up my notes.
Yeah. And then there's like the neo-tantra, which is like the sexy tantra, which is like there's sacredness in sex. And so what I loved about last night was we got to really explore the fullness of Tantra and what it means on many different levels. And, let me just look into his notes. No, I think it was in the questions.
Oh, in the questions?
I think it was in the questions.
That's
Thank
great.
you for your
So I wanted
patience.
to share into the questions, actually. So I didn't share this last night, but there was a mantra for the evening. Sarvam Śivam. All is Shiva, all is sacred. A vibrational reminder that both the playful and the profound belong. I feel like that was true last night.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I agree.
Everything, no exceptions, is an expression of the divine, the sacred essence of all being. So classical Tantra is about finding the divinity in all things, Whereas Neo-Tantra, it's typically finding divinity through sexual expression.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas classical expresses that it can be found in all
anything,
things,
yeah.
not just through sexual. Yes, it can be found through sexual expression, but that's not the only way it can be found.
It could also be found in your morning walk. It could be found in
Lighting
your
a
shower.
candle.
Yeah, lighting a candle. The thing that
Sniffing the sun.
we kind of went on a journey, sniffing the sun like our cat. People are like, what is that? We had to do a demo. It was so funny.
I've started doing it now.
Yeah, do you smell the sun?
Just give it a little lift of the chin.
Yeah, just a little lift of the chin, a little inhale.
Try and get my third eye heated up through my nostrils. Just straight in, direct access.
Just for reference, we have a cat who loves to go out on the terrace, and first thing in the morning, he quite literally will lift his chin and he'll be sniffing the sun, it seems like. And he just looks so ridiculous when he does it. We tease him for it, but it's really cute.
We enjoy it.
Yeah. Last night, I think last night was a really great mix for me personally, because we got to talk about the sensual and the ways in which like our senses on their own can create this like sense of aliveness in us, which aliveness can be inspiration, creativity. It could also be eroticism. And I think all of us, when we were kind of diving into, like, we had a question, which sense, taste, touch, smell, sound, or sight, most awakens your aliveness? And I felt like everybody's answers, we were all just kind of like salivating. It's like, oh yeah, that, oh yeah. It's like every time somebody's sharing what the sense is, we're dropping deeper and deeper into our bodies. And it created this like collective field of energy that I felt as we were sharing. That was like, oh, this feels really nice. This is a great way to start the night.
We're sharing our experiences as best we can through language, and we're vibrating it into being, and it just sits within one another as it's expressed. It's like there's that reverberation of like acknowledgement, like yes, I've tasted that, even if it's not quite the same as you.
Or now I'm feeling it because of how you're expressing it. I wasn't feeling it before, but now I definitely am. And it's interesting too, because I think in that space, it can, if you haven't experienced it in the way that it's being described, it creates a longing and a desire that's like, I want it like you're having it.
That brings to mind on the gentleman's Father's Day event that I did, where someone expressed how the smell of his dad was something that he missed now that he passed. And I never had that experience of, like, I can't find the smell of my dad if I think about it or feel into it. And so it's like, oh, there's an experience I've missed there that I hadn't even been aware of, but because you've shared it, like you said, there's that longing to vibrate in that way.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And how the senses in and of themselves are tantric in nature, and they can open us up to these experiences of wholeness, of satisfaction. Even if we want to move into the neo-tantra, eroticism can come online. Like, I think about if we're sticking with scent, right, and you smell something that like reminds you of a lover that you had a great time with, right, it activates that nostalgia and those memory cells in your body that bring that energy online, even if that person isn't in the room. And there's something really powerful about that. And yeah, I know we had last night's questions, I feel like were so rich, and they really took us on a journey even outside of the questions. And the thing that I thought was so special about last night was it was a smaller group than usual. So rather than pair people up, we actually just group shared the whole time, which for me, I was really grateful, because sometimes I feel we get left out, because we're facilitating, and it's nice to actually be an equal part of the conversation. And
I think maybe there's a refinement piece there, opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's to just do smaller gatherings,
right,
or bring us into the experience more.
Yeah.
I think this is what I mentioned to you last night, that I felt like I didn't have a strong facilitation experience. And I think that's because I didn't really need to facilitate.
Yeah, we got to share just like
Yeah.
everybody else.
And so that sense of I didn't feel the same like resonance in the direction of facilitation last night. It wasn't like I didn't feel like I necessarily did a bad job,
Right.
but I didn't get to sit in that role to the depth that I'm used to doing from the event.
Right.
So I just noticed that.
I felt because of this, the intimacy of this group, pun intended, I felt so much more seen and heard. My experience outside the facilitator hat. It's like, oh, wow, I get to share because we're doing collective expansion, you know, and not just holding the expansion for others. And I appreciated that, and I do find value in that.
I do enjoy the facilitation as well.
Oh, I love the whole thing. And I notice, you know, it's like when we do contact too, I'm watching all these people have really playful experiences, and I'm like, wait, I want to
play.
I want to go in there. Wait, like you guys are having a great time.
It's like creating, you know what it is? It's like a chef would create a beautiful piece of art, but then not eat it.
Yeah, not get to taste it.
And be like,
Yeah. Yeah. You're just watching everybody else like salivate and moan over it, and you're like, "Oh, I'm glad that they love my masterpiece." It's like, gosh, I hope I save a bite for myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be aware of time for myself because I have a couple more minutes.
I want to know. So we do 3 rounds of questions. First round is playful discovery. The principle was the senses and body are gateways, and Tiffany shared which sense most awakens your aliveness. Round 2 is about deeper presence, bridging body and spirit. The erotic and the transcendent are not separate, was the underlying thread in those questions. Did you have a favorite of the 3?
Well, we didn't get to all of these actually because our conversations expanded so much.
We only did
We only
question.
did the body as a temple.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question was that Tantra teaches the body as a temple, and how has your body been a teacher to you? And I thought there was so much value in those conversations because we're talking about the journey of listening to our bodies, of honoring like the subtle sensations, learning to embody our nose, the challenge and the tension and the sensations that can come from saying one thing but then needing to do another, and how we navigate that experience. Like a guest was talking about how there was plans made and they're very connected to, if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do something, and they're starting to re-examine that belief because that hasn't actually always served. And so starting to be with the tension of like, well, what if that policy that I've been carrying actually is limiting me in my fullest expression and what would be in alignment for me. I thought that was so deep.
You know, you expressing it just now, it made me realize I've gone through a similar journey where I was adamant that I wouldn't drink, and I was teetotal for 30-something years, and then someone pointed out, it's like, you're not making a choice, you're being beholden to stories that aren't even yours. And so you've closed yourself off, and you're being controlled by alcoholism, but just from the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
And I couldn't not disagree with that. And so it's, I get to consciously choose when I consume alcohol, and I get to bring sovereignty to that rather than be bound by this choice that I made decades ago.
Yeah.
And sit in the karmic debt of that.
Absolutely. We actually talked about this quite a bit yesterday, was like sovereignty and agency and choice, and like where we have a belief that feels as if it's agency, like what you're just saying. But when we actually start to unpack, that's like, well, wow, when I stick to that policy, like this guest was talking about how deflated they became because they really wanted to stay at this event, but they had made a commitment, and going and taking care of that commitment just like robbed them of their joy. It's like, yeah, how often do we find ourselves in those experiences like, oh, but I said I would do this thing and now I gotta go do it, when it just actually pulls us out of our aliveness.
And that's how he knew that it was the wrong choice, because it was pulling him out of aliveness. It was taking away.
Yeah, like there's your sign.
Yeah.
You know, there's your sign.
It's deflating rather than expanding. Round 3.
Round 3,
Tantric vulnerability. Intimacy as recognition of self in the mirror of other.
People were like, oof, okay, we're about to go there. There was like a nervousness when you read that out loud. I could feel it. It's like a little bit of a temperature change.
Ultimately saying that I exist in you and you exist in me, and how can we be a reflection of the other, and what the implications of that. So the question was, Neo-Tantra often seeks sacredness in sex. Classical Tantra says sacredness is everywhere. What makes sex sacred for you?
There was lots of response to that. Lots of response. And some themes that I picked up were like when I feel honored, when my body is actually like revered as a temple, and there's this like sacredness between both parties, not just one person.
For me, it's... Did you say your body is a temple and it's acknowledged by both parties as such?
Yeah. That was like some
What
of
does
the
that
theme.
mean?
Like that it's not just me out here like, hey, my body's a temple. It's like the partner that I'm with is also seeing my body as a temple. So it's not just, I'm like, hey, sex is sacred. And they're like, no, I just fuck around. You know, it's like that's what makes sex sacred, is like when both parties or whoever's participating is all on the same page of that, like this gets to be a mystical experience. This connection can do things for our lives, for our beings, for our healing. There was like a theme of that. There was like about honoring of the body. Like when my body is honored, that feels sacred. When the person I'm with is honoring my body, that also feels sacred.
I mean, to me, that brings up a necessity for being and having aligned dictionaries, because what one person perceives as honored, another person perhaps does not.
We actually talked about that. You brought that up at one point. That's like when you can have the conversations ahead of time that create the foundations or the boundaries or the frameworks, that creates the space for the playground. But if we don't know, Alita said this last year actually in our podcast interview. She's like, if you think about it as a sandbox and you have the pieces of wood that line the sandbox, once you have those there, you know that everything within that box is game.
Play.
You get to play in that, and at any moment you can shift the boundaries, you can shift the size of the box, but you have that. If you don't have that, then anything can come in at any time, and you don't really know where you're at. Yeah, and so again, it's like it speaks to the value of those conversations that oftentimes people don't have because they don't know how to have them. They feel like it might kill the mood. It's kind of unsexy. It's
Someone
like,
said that last night, that's where their mind used to, like a few years ago, before their self-development journey, those conversations would have killed the vibe for her. And now it creates salivation.
Yeah. This piece also, you know, a participant was talking about going kind of back to the body temple thing because it just resonated with me so much, and I feel like so many other people, especially women, will probably resonate with this, where she was sharing this experience of when she was younger, feeling like her body was a resource. And that, so she would use it as a resource in an effort to get what she wanted, or for me, it was like to get what I needed because I was in so much scarcity. And seeing how the shift out of that belief that my body is a resource and that I'm only of value or worth something if I look a certain way or act a certain way, shifting into something that is more around like self-loving and self-belief and the expansion that that creates in the sexual container. And she brought up my birthday and the question that she had asked me from you around, you know, what's one piece of advice that you would give to the younger generation about sex? And, my cliff note of that was, I was like, I would wait. I would really wait and listen to my body, and I would trust what my body is saying over my mind, because my mind might be like, yeah, let's go. This is amazing. I'm really feeling it. Or my body might not be feeling it, but my mind is trying to convince me otherwise. And that would rob me of the sacredness of that sexual experience, because I wasn't a full, authentic, like, fuck yes, through all my centers. And there was fear in that when I was younger, that if I didn't offer this thing, I would lose something that in theory I never really had anyways. So that was just an interesting reflection too, because that came up during the sacredness of sex. It's like, when we really honor our yes and feel that fully, it creates so much more space for, I think, magic to happen in sexual dynamics.
In any dynamic.
Any dynamic, yeah.
As above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
As within, so without.
There were so many questions we didn't get to. I'm going to hop off here so I can go meet. But there were so many questions that would have been amazing to touch on. And it definitely just shows me, like, yeah, there's going to be more.
We can definitely do
Tantra
another
intimacies.
Tantra intimacy.
Yeah.
A lot of food for thought there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of pause for attention.
Of course.
Pause.
Well, for anybody that listens to this, I hope that we send this out. So even if you weren't a part of it, you can think about these things, and you can always come to our next event, our next intimacy. And this gives you a felt sense, and maybe even a little taste in your mouth of what it is that we're creating, and why.
Taste in your ears.
Taste in your ears, circulating around your mind and making its way into your body and your heart.
Happy digesting.
Mm-hmm.